Are you ready to feel inspired by hearing other people's stories of how they got from point A to point B? What helped them? What challenged them? What did they learn? What might they know that you haven't yet explored? No matter where you are today on your life journey, there is always hope, and you will always be amazing. My name is Kim O'Neill, and this show will inspire you to keep going. You and your life are worth it.
You're listening to the Every Day is a New Day show. Inspirational conversations with movers and shakers about moving forward and choosing to embrace a positive outlook. Because that which breaks us becomes a catalyst for what makes us. Now, here's your host, Kim O'Neill.
I am smiling from ear to ear. Why? Because today's guest is a perfect example of how some of our most painful, frustrating life experiences can actually serve a greater purpose. My guest today is intuitive couples coach Chani Jacobson. Have you ever been in a relationship and known there was so much value between you and your partner, but for some reason you two constantly fight or don't see eye to eye, or maybe you bump up against some sort of wall with each other? Well, certainly not every relationship is meant to last a lifetime. However, sometimes repairing a relationship can have more to do with the approach taken and, of course, both parties being open to it. Chani is going to share with us her life experience that led to what she does today, and at the end, how you can connect with her after the show. So here we go. Let's welcome Chani Jacobson to Every Day is a New Day.
Thank you. It's really awesome to be here. I really appreciate this. This is something that I've been looking forward to this. So I'm really happy to be here, and thank you so much for having me on.
Oh, I'm so glad to have you here. So something I like to do at the start of every show is just share your bio with our audience so they can get who you are in a nutshell. And then, of course, I would love for you to elaborate on all that. So for anyone who's just getting to know Chani, let me share with you a little bit more about her. Chani Jacobson works with couples who are struggling with resentment, bickering, and intimacy issues in their relationship. She teaches them how to communicate in such a profound way that they stop bickering and resenting each other, deepen their connection, and truly nourish each other. Uniquely, she works with the couples in sessions together to practice communication techniques and share struggles and successes, and also works with each partner in individual to focus on developing inner wisdom connection, body awareness, and emotional intelligence, the true keys to a relationship that rocks. And so Chani Jacobson is an amazing intuitive couples coach, and I love that.
Yes, it's truly my passion. And it's something that I've been doing since the start of becoming a coach, is working with couples. And I love that now I'm able to weave in the individual sessions in addition to the sessions with the couples. It was something that was missing from my practice for a couple of years. And so being able to recently, it just came to me. I was like, oh, we're going to do this. We're going to do this where we're going to work with them separately and as a couple, because that's where you get the most traction. That's where you can get the most growth and the most sustainable change.
I love it. I think that's fantastic because especially when a couple is in a place of knowing, hey, it might benefit us to get some outside support.
Yes.
Not everyone's going to be on the same page. So that's great that you're able to work with them one-on-one.
Absolutely. Yes. For the most part, I'd say it's about 50-50. I have people whose partners are not able to join in working together. So I work with them, with just them, with great success. And then about 50% of the time, I have couples who are all in and they're committed to coming in together as a couple. And then I have many couples who opt for not only doing the couple work together, but also choosing to go on and have the individual sessions. And also, a lot of times it's the men, because a lot of times it's the men who are looking to deepen their connection to their inner wisdom and be able to identify emotions that they're feeling, and then be able to share those emotions with their partner to create deeper connection.
Oh,
But I also love working with women as well, separately. it's just that there's a different focus for the men and the women when we work in individual sessions.
I think that's so awesome, to know that you're really able to support men in that space. There are many awesome men who already, feel fine, connecting to their emotions and sharing themselves, but there are many who do not. And so to know that there's someone that can provide that safe space to be able to explore and get to know themselves in that way, and all the work that you do with them, I think that's wonderful.
Thank you. And it's so funny you say that, because I actually recently had a client who, in the session where I was working with the couple, and so they were together. The man actually said, like, holy moly, like, I thought I was a pretty emotionally aware person. Like, I know I know when I'm feeling something, but I guess I was wrong. Like, that there's so much more depth and so much more ability to pinpoint what's really going on and communicate that, not only to honor it for yourself and acknowledge it for yourself and what's going on, but also to share that with your partner in a way that draws them closer, as opposed to making them feel like you're pushing them away.
Okay, I love that you shared that, because that's not even just a masculine or male thing. That can even happen to women.
Absolutely.
Right? Anytime we choose to open up and say yes to going deeper within ourselves, it's like there's always another layer, another level we can get to.
Absolutely. Yeah, the journey continues, even for me.
Me too. Yeah. Oh my goodness. Okay, so Chani, here's what I really love though, is I wanna get to know you a little better as a person, that's doing this amazing transformational work with couples. And so will you share with us, what has your journey been like that got you to here? What have you had to work on to be able to serve in this way?
Yes, I love this question. And I'll be honest, it's always vulnerable for me to share this, because, I have to reveal that things were pretty bad in my own relationship. And I was in a pretty emotionally unstable state for many of the years that my partner and I first got together. So that's really what started it. I'm a really sensitive person. I'm really empathic. I'm a 9 on the Enneagram, if anybody knows what that is out there listening. And so, my walk through life had been difficult. I'd say it's great now. But when I met my partner, who would then become my husband, I was in a really emotionally unstable place. I had gone through a heartbreak. I had really felt like an outsider with what I felt were just like normal people who had normal lives. Like, all my friends were so normal and so well adjusted. And I wondered, why do I feel so sensitive? Why do I feel so weird all the time? Why am I so socially awkward? Why do I see things so differently than everybody else? And why does anybody even like me? I don't even know why people think that they like me, because I don't even really know who I am, and I don't understand myself. How can anybody else understand me and like me? So, it was a really emotional time. That was back in college. And I graduated, and I met my husband, my life partner. And that really put me in a position where I felt safe for the very first time, and really seen and understood for who I was. And so what I understand now is that what happened is that, because I felt safe, there are parts of me, really wounded parts of me, really damaged and wounded, that wanted to come out to be healed. And the way that happened is that there were parts of me that had a lot of rage. There were parts of me that were even more emotional than I even realized. And so, I would get in really bad fights with my partner, like yelling, screaming, like really, really intense fights that would sometimes last for hours. And at the end, we'd both be drained, and we knew that we loved each other and wanted to stay together. Yet, this became a real problem and it became a habit, actually, a dynamic that occurred a lot over many, many years. And it was really embarrassing. It was embarrassing that we couldn't have just a normal discussion around the feelings that were coming up, that it had to be a fight, that we had to treat each other that way, and that other people in our lives had to hear that. It was really, it was tough. And so we would be on that cycle of things were great, we love each other, oops, we're fighting a lot and it's really intense and we're feeling drained. And then what are we going to do? Well, we don't want to break up, so we stay together. And then the cycle would continue. So that went on for years. And then there was one moment in time where I think internally we were both ready to change. And that's how I view it now. Like, we were both inside, we were both kind of primed to figure out a way to solve this and up level to the next phase and fix this fighting dynamic. And so I think that was what was going on to lay the foundation there. And then there was this one moment where we were about to fight and just completely go at it. And I didn't dissociate. It was more like I just had a sudden, different awareness about what was going on. And I kind of was like looking down at us, about to get into this huge fight. And it was like I could see outside of time. I could see that this fighting dynamic was not us at all, and that it was something that could be healed. And I was able to really sense into and get in touch with our future selves, the selves that had fixed this fighting dynamic, and love each other and treat each other so much better. So I told him that, and it stopped the fight. We didn't even have one. And I said, I really think that there's a way that we don't have to do this anymore. We can do better. So then I put myself to work and I took trainings. I did a training with the Gottman principles. I got certified as a heart math coach. I did some other trainings that all sort of brought me back to my original study back in college, which was psychology, creativity, somatic awareness, and just cross-cultural ways of healing. And so it really got me back in touch with that. And I remember when I was certified and was ready to start coaching people, I coached a couple, and I did a kind of a long session, about 2.5 hours. And at the end of the session, I was energized. I wasn't drained. And I said, I was just like, I am coming alive. Like, this is what I was meant to do. So not only was I, finding my calling as a couples coach, I healed my relationship with my husband, utilizing all the best tools that I had found and trained myself in. And then I, was able to start helping couples as well. So wow. That is how I got into this, and why I'm really so passionate about this, because I know that if a couple knows that they're meant to be together, that there is a way, there are many ways, many tools to help them alleviate the fighting dynamic and grow closer together in sharing their feelings, even when they're crunchy feelings, and to deepen their intimacy to a point that it feels like they're walking through life as the most amazing team. And any affection and any love and any stuff in the bedroom, it feels like it's truly sacred and it's healing. And so that's what I'm all about.
Wow. Okay, so I have to just first say thank you for being vulnerable and sharing that with us.
Yeah.
So I'm just going to acknowledge that you just reaffirmed why I love hosting this show. It's because hearing really awesome stories like that, because it's never the end. Like, having those moments where we think, why am all those things you mentioned about yourself, right? Like, why do I feel awkward? And why is, all these other thoughts about what other people might be thinking about me or whatever. And then having fights in my relationship, like, that's just the beginning of something more.
Yeah.
And I'm curious, have you found that the clients you work with today tend to mirror where you were before?
At the beginning, yes, that I would say that was really true. And I think there is often a thread of that mirroring with the people that I work with. Absolutely. And I think because I also, in the way that I was putting myself out there and sort of putting out my marketing, I was gearing it toward people who have had a similar experience to me, because it's what I know and what I can speak to, the pain of that and how, what it's like to fix that pain. So I would say, yeah, yes, there is a lot of mirroring that goes on. I'd say now it's a little bit more open-ended. I work with people who are dealing with trust issues, or I work with people who are dealing with. I would say yes. Also because I've had almost every problem in the relationship to be had. Not everything, but I have a wide range of experience of the pain and issues that happen in relationship. I've been with my partner for over 11 years. So it's like I have an ability to address many different aspects of a relationship. So yes, I can see myself and my relationship mirrored in the people I'm working with, for sure. Yeah.
That's just awesome. The reason why I highlight that is because it can be so easy to, when you're in the thick of something and feeling like there's no hope and things are never going to change, to then find, oh my goodness, this actually has a greater purpose to it. And
yeah.
It sounds like a real turning point for you was when you had that moment where you were able to sort of observe you and your partner.
Yeah.
And what led you to say, okay, wait, I'm going to pause and I'm actually going to pay attention to what I'm experiencing? What led you to make that choice versus ignore it and continue on with the fight?
I think that's a really good question. And I thought about that before. I think it was just time. I don't think, like I was saying before, I think that we were both ready. We were ready to shed that old us and to shed all of that pain and fighting and just all of the destruction that our old patterns were causing us. I think it was more a matter of time, and also I couldn't ignore that the message was clear. The message was there was a way through. Like, this doesn't have to happen. It really doesn't. There is a way to fix this. And, it just, up until that point, I didn't really know that. But the message was really clear in that moment. And I trusted that.
I think that's key right there, that you trusted it.
Yeah.
And so that very clearly sounds like an intuitive message.
Yes.
Okay. So,
yes.
So knowing that you had that moment, what other experiences, or did you have other intuitive experiences prior to that? I'm curious.
You mean just in general?
Yeah.
Oh, all the time.
Okay.
Yes. I've always been a sensitive empath and always have had intuitions, and I just really wanted to fit in and be normal, quote unquote normal. So yeah. I think I really downplayed a lot of that. And I also think that's what made me so emotional during that period of time when I was really ignoring my particular intuitive gifts and my sense of things and the way I perceived the world and perceived people. I didn't have the confidence to say, this is who I am. And there's nothing wrong with that. In fact, it's a gift. I was more so in a place of, I don't want to be weird. I just want to be normal. So I really pushed that away. And I think it caused me a lot of pain to do that.
So was that moment the turning point of when you started to embrace that part of yourself? Or was there something that maybe came even later where you accepted?
I'd say that was the turning point in my adult life. Yes. And ever since then, it's just been going deeper and deeper and deeper. I seek out transformational experiences. I seek out healing more and more. I seek out developing my intuition more and more. And I would say, every year I look for how I can be more me and be more tuned into that. And I'd say, I think that really this year would be another big turning point in terms of just really stepping more into that. I'm getting trained in something called sensuous wisdom, which is for women. It's for womb owners because it's all about tuning into your womb space as a power spot, as a source of creation, of power, of energy, and of deep, deep intuition. And I spent most of my life really coming from the place of the heart because I'm a natural nurturer and I'm very empathic, and that works just fine. I will say that working with the sensuous wisdom and with the womb space has been a more sustainable, balancing, healing experience than focusing solely on the heart for my intuition and wisdom.
That's awesome. You said a moment ago that you actively seek out different opportunities to learn and heal. And I know, so actually I want to go back to this. For anybody who's hearing this and for the first time is going, empath, what is that? Will you share with them, just in a nutshell, what an empath experience is and what that's like?
Yeah, so being an empath means you walk into a room where there's people and you feel everybody's feelings. And
sounds like a very overwhelming experience.
I was just about to say it's very overwhelming. That's exactly the word I was going to use.
So for an empath who's already experiencing all this stuff that's not just yours, but everybody else's, I just first want to say, I think it makes total sense that anybody would feel awkward.
Yes.
Right? Because it can be so easy to confuse what's yours, what's someone else's. And I know from my own personal experience, and I'm still on this journey with myself, but there are times when I think for certain I know what's mine, and later I still go, oh my gosh, that wasn't even mine.
Yes.
And it's so I applaud you for being on this journey and taking such proactive action to heal and learn. And so my next question is, knowing that you already had so much stuff going on, there's a part of me that even questions, well, why did you choose to learn and heal? Was there ever, I mean, it makes total sense. So I totally get that, but I could also see how someone might make the decision to not go that route because they might fear that it would bring up new stuff or make it even harder. Did you have any of that concern ever?
Well, I think what I can say is that there's a lot going into that. And I think that's really valid. It is really scary to go into an unknown healing modality or say yes to learning more about yourself and what will that be and what will that mean and how will you act and how you feel. And it can be really uncomfortable. For me, the alternative was that I literally felt like I was a crazy person. So it's like either I ignore that and I don't heal and I just go about my life kind of pretending that I'm okay, which makes me crazy and drains me completely, or I step into who I am and learn more about myself and heal those things, not only to make sure that my relationship with my husband keeps being as amazing as it is, but also so that I can continue being the coach that I have been born to be, and continue to offer something valuable to this world that is helpful. And I also wanted to say that my history, I didn't go into my childhood very much, but my mom has always, both of my parents have turned toward growth and transformation. And so I think I learned that from them. They also were both self-employed entrepreneurs. And so I think that having the upbringing where I saw that in my parents made me feel very secure in taking that path. And it's not to say that, there aren't painful, crazy things that happen on that path, but it's a path that was very comfortable to me and encouraged, and I felt secure in the path of healing and the path of turning toward transformation and going deeper. And then I also, just who I am, have been interested in that my whole life. I really thought I was going to be a psychologist. I studied this stuff in college. It was my concentration. It was my major. So these are the things that I was already interested in as well. For somebody who, if somebody is listening and they're, like a financial planner, or, they're on Wall Street, or they're, they own a casino in Las Vegas. I don't know what your life story is, but, it might feel really foreign. And maybe you never saw that reflected around people in your life growing up, that there is a way to feel secure on the path of healing and transformation. And so I get that. And, it doesn't hurt. It might feel like it'll hurt, and maybe it'll be a little bit painful emotionally, but the rewards are so beneficial to just taking even one baby step toward getting to know yourself just a little bit more, spending a little bit more time with your intuition, because everybody has it. We're born with that. Nobody's born without it. It's just that, the world that we live in, we're not taught that in school.
Well, what I also hear as you're talking is anytime we choose to learn more about ourselves, to heal ourselves, there's two things. Number one, that's the person, you, stepping in your power, standing in your power, so that you actually can be more effective in all the different ways that you live your life, your personal life as well as your professional life. And that goes for anybody who chooses to say yes to healing and owning up to certain things about themselves, that you go, okay, this is who I am. This is not changing. So then how can I make this work for me?
Yes.
Continue to fight it, right? And go against the grain, and then actually just create more and more resistance that can be just create unnecessary chaos in life that does not need to be there. So
absolutely. And it's going to hit you at some point. Like, things will fall apart in your life.
Yes.
It's just how life is. Even when you're on the path of healing and actively looking for transformation, like, stuff is going to fall apart. Things are going to get hard. Struggles will happen no matter what you do. So you might as well face them and learn some tools and feel secure in that path.
Yes. Yes, totally. And I just think it's so fantastic that this is the path you've taken, and now you're learning the sensuous wisdom. Did I grade it?
Yes, sensuous wisdom.
Oh my God, that's okay. So that coupled with all this other stuff that you're doing of really standing in your power and helping people heal, and all the work you've done for yourself, like, wow, that's powerful.
It really is. Yeah. Yes. I feel like I could just keep talking on and on about healing and about inner wisdom. And
what do you love most about healing?
Well, it's funny to say, but I feel like healing is our birthright.
Oh, wow.
I really do. And I feel like the more healing that we can achieve, the more sacred everything becomes in our lives, and we all deserve that.
A concept of karma that I wasn't used to has been coming up lately. And it's not the concept of, let's say you do one thing and then it comes back to you in another way, but rather the concept of karma in terms of, I hope I articulate this. I haven't actually spoken about this with anyone else before, but just the concept of karma about kind of like being in alignment with ourselves and making sure that we are clear in our energy and anything that we do moving forward, so that we aren't creating new karma. Is this even making sense?
Yes. Yeah. Yes, I get it. I get what you're saying.
So I think it to me, it pairs up with what you were saying about healing being our birthright. And by taking that proactive action to heal, then we're not only clearing out the past and the stuff, that's already happened, but we're also widening the pathway to be moving forward and have a more stable, loving, solid foundation to create karma that's going to serve us and the world.
Right.
rather
Yes.
than karma that's just going to be more of the same old stuff that we don't want anymore.
Absolutely. Yeah. I feel like even though there's so much in the world that is heavy on our hearts, and there's so much out there, I actually really feel energized at this time on our planet. I feel like we are in a really interesting time where more and more people want to be in alignment with truth, their truth, and just the universal truth.
Yes.
And to heal and to come together and to love more and be more compassionate and be more accepting. And again, with the word sacred, that's really on my mind lately. Just, we've lost what's sacred. The word sacred is just not, it's been really divorced from how we learn and how we operate, and at least in Western societies. I can't speak for, that's where I grew up, it was in Western society. So, it causes so much pain to be divorced from that feeling of, wow, this is sacred, and everything I do is interconnected with everybody else. And
I think it's also really, I love that you mentioned that you feel energized, because I can totally identify with that. And I think because of a lot of the things that are going on in the world today, I know I've at times had some apprehension even saying that, because a lot of people might go, what are you talking about?
Yeah.
I'm miserable, I'm depressed. There's all these other things happening that are weighing on us. And I think where the energizing comes from is for those who are being on purpose with their life. Yes. And their work, and doing what they can to heal, to move forward, and to ultimately be who they are. And
absolutely.
So that's, to me, that's the answer for anybody who's in that space of going, wait a second, how do I get to the space of feeling energized despite all this other stuff happening? Then connect more with yourself and what your inner truth is, just like Chani was saying, and get to that place where you begin to feel more on purpose in your life.
Absolutely. And the more that you do that in yourself, the more it's going to cause an up leveling in your relationship. And the more couples that do that, the more you're healing. The more healing there can be, yes, exactly. The ripple effect. Yes.
Yeah, I totally agree. Oh, Chani, are there any tips that you could share with our audience today if they're in the space of having this discord in their relationship and they would like to heal it? What would you say maybe some of their first steps are?
Yes. It's really a simple technique. It's underused. It's something just as simple as eye gazing. And it's silent eye gazing with love, where you are looking deeply into the eyes of your beloved and just being present. And whatever arises, just being present to that and being present with your partner silently. And you can add you can hold hands or add some sort of like gentle affection, but mostly it's about being present and looking in each other's eyes. I just taught a workshop last weekend where we had 3 beautiful couples come to learn how to be more loving and connected with one another. And one of them, they both lead meditation. They're actually pretty well known in the community. They travel all over the world teaching meditation. They're committed to one another. Yet when I asked the group, how many of you actually utilize the technique of eye gazing, they were like, we don't, none of them, not even the couple that teaches meditation. So that's, I think, probably my number one tip, is just spending quality time just looking in each other's eyes.
So for anyone who's going, okay, but how long do I do that for? Any time limit or recommendation to start with?
Any amount of time is good, to be perfectly honest with you. I'd say at least a minute.
Okay.
And I would say as often as you possibly can.
Oh. That sounds like a really nice, for those couples who are like, we don't even go out on dates anymore or anything like that. They could just schedule in 1 minute a day.
Yes.
Gaze.
Yes, exactly. And it's transformational. I mean, when we did this in the workshop, because I had them practice it, and I love facilitating this, because there can be a little bit of discomfort in the room with like, ooh, we're just going to look at each other and nobody's saying anything. Like, what are we doing? But after 30 seconds, it was just like the love blossomed, the softness, came into the room. People started to get, started to weep. And it's just like, this loving presence with your partner. It's life-changing. It actually is.
That's a great tip. I love that. Oh, wonderful. So Chani, one thing I love, you shared with us that you are an empath and how that's really impacted your life. And empaths really need to pay attention to their own self-care and their own energy management. And I would love to know, what have you found that works for you in being able to manage your own energy?
Oh my gosh, this is such a fantastic question. And every year I get more and more attuned to my self-care. And so that's actually number one, is just making sure that I continue to check in with myself. So it's actually the inner wisdom. It's spending that time, eye gazing with myself. Maybe we'll call it that.
Oh, I love it.
So yeah, exactly. Looking into me and saying, okay, well, who am I now? Who am I this year? Who am I this season? And what is going to be the most helpful for me in what I'm going through? What are the unique demands of my time right now, time and energy? And so just number one, just checking in with that, and just, it's not a judgment. It's stripping any judgment or any demands off of that and just saying, well, what am I now and what are my needs? So that would be number one in terms of the self-care. And then I'd say, like, for right now, it's, I participate in a lot of women's circles. I find that to be extremely helpful, and I'm really picky about who I spend time with. I don't want to say picky. That's not the best word. I'm discerning. Yeah. As an empath, as you mentioned, I do get affected, and, I want to be available. I want to be at my best, and to not be overwhelmed in public. So I got to take better care of myself, other times. So, every week I do my sensuous wisdom class with my mentor and other women who are part of that. And then, I actually, in this season of my life, I said, how can I get even more self-care in? And I said, I'll host an inner wisdom art night for women. Ooh. So that I'm facilitating. So it's like, I host it, I prepare the space, and I put on beautiful, relaxing and music that sparks creativity. And I invite women who I trust and love to come into the space and be creative together. And I also participate in that. So not only do I host it and I guide a visualization and meditation to ground everybody and get them in touch with their inner wisdom, I participate in that as well. And so that's another thing I've done. And then another thing was also starting up a women's embodiment class at my house. So not only am I preparing the space for that energy, which gets me in more alignment with myself, I invite women that I trust and love so that we can, bond together and share that space. And I participate. Not only do I facilitate it, but I participate. So these are ways that, as somebody who's a business owner and I'm out in the community and I want to offer things, I make sure that they are things that also will nourish me too. So I think that's another part of it. Making sure that who I spend time with and the activities that I do, the events that I do, are something that help me get even in more alignment and more connected to my inner wisdom. And then I'd say taking baths with Epsom salt and essential oil, and just being really discerning about not only who I spend time with and what I do in that time, but also, like, what am I allowing myself to watch when I have downtime and I'm binging on Netflix or Hulu? What are the things that I'm reading? Having a really good balance. Yeah. Because trust me, I like me some This Is Us. Like, I'm not going to not watch This Is Us. And if I watch that, I have to make sure that I balance that out with something that keeps me the momentum moving forward on being more and more in touch with my true inner wisdom. I hope that makes sense.
Oh, I love all of it. So I just want to highlight again, it's, it can be so hard for us to make that decision to say, okay, I'm going to be more discerning with the people in my space, the people I spend time with, because if we find that we need to do more self-care, we can start to think like, oh no, I don't want to be mean right?
Yeah.
Someone's feelings because I want to spend less time with them, or maybe I don't want to spend any time with them anymore. And yet, how is it doing a disservice to you by continuing to, keep moving forward in your life with something that's actually weighing you down? So then are you really moving forward if you are keeping something that maybe at one time that person served a purpose in your life, but maybe it is time to, each person go their own way. So I just want to highlight that for anybody who's looking for permission to make some adjustments in your life, to do the same, then just know, it's a healthy thing. Even if the other person doesn't get it right away, and, whatever that looks like for you, right? Maybe there's a conversation that takes place, or maybe there's nothing that takes place and you just make the decision for yourself. But it's a healthy decision when you are more discerning with who's in your life. And then, oh my goodness, such a beautiful gift that you are giving yourself. So what I know of empaths and people who are very heart-centered is that we're such good givers.
Yes.
And we tend to forget of ourselves.
Yes.
So what a fantastic way that you have been able to create these events where you give to others, but you also give to yourself, and you're balancing out that energy at the same time. That's awesome.
Thank you.
Yeah.
It was awesome. It came to me and I said, well, that's fantastic. I will do that.
Nice. While you're filling up other people's cups, you're filling up your own.
Absolutely.
Oh,
Yes.
Chani, how can people connect with you after the show?
Well, I have a website. It's ChaniJacobson.com. So it's CHAN as in Nancy, Chani is my first name, Jacobson with an SON.com. So that's just my name.com. And then I have some information about what I do on my website there. And there's a way to contact me at the very bottom. It's just a little contact form. And if you're interested in learning more about working with me, if you have questions, you can schedule a session with me. And for anybody who's listening, you can just mention in the contact form that you listened on this podcast, and I will be happy to gift you a 30-minute complimentary exploratory call with you and or your partner.
Very generous. Chani, I really enjoy you. I love your energy. And again, I love your passion for what you do. And I so appreciate you being vulnerable and sharing your story, because it's one of those things, and I'm sure that our audience will agree that, whenever someone chooses to open up and share who they are and their journey, there's like so much power that comes through that. And it's just amazing. So you just gave our audience an amazing gift today by sharing your experiences and your wisdom. And I want to thank you so much for being here and doing that today.
Thank you, Kim. And thank you for your brilliant questions and for doing this service to your community. And I'm so glad that we met. I also love your energy.
Thank you. But yeah, the feeling is so mutual.
Thank you for listening today. If you found value in this episode, be sure to rate and review it on iTunes and subscribe so you can continue to be inspired and feel supported on your journey forward. Remember that every day truly is a new day. The more you practice saying yes to yourself, being open to your life's gifts through your lived experiences, the more you find yourself in the rhythm and flow of life. And that's just the beginning of how much more beauty is ready to unfold for you. Subscribe to the Every Day is a New Day show on iTunes and connect with me after the show over on Facebook on the Every Day is a New Day show and coaching page, where I also go live with many of my guests on Wednesdays at 6 p.m. Pacific Standard Time. Or follow the show on Instagram at Every Day is a New Day Show. Let me know what you're taking away from today. I'd love to know. I'm your host, Kim O'Neill, and I look forward to connecting with you next time.